What's going on, everybody?
Welcome back to Dish It with Des.
And Steve.
Des and Steve. So, yeah, Steve is a permanent co-host on the show now.
Yep.
So he will be here for every single episode because I just like when you're here.
I enjoy being here.
Yeah,
And
you
now
help keep my thoughts together.
Now you force me to watch all the Bravo shows that you enjoy.
Yeah.
And I'm cool with it because I kind of like the drama too.
Yep. So we're kicking it off with the latest Vanderpump Rules episode called It's All Happening Again because it's Scheana's wedding. We've done this with Scheana once already, but round 2 seems to be a lot better.
It seems to be a lot better. I'm not really a fan of that title for this episode.
No, I think that they could have given her...
A little bit
It
more.
was a little petty.
Yeah.
With the again. You know, and Brock, I like her and Brock together a lot, so I feel like they maybe could have gotten a better title for their wedding episode. But
That's what I would hope.
yeah.
But anyway, so this episode...
and you know why it's titled that, right? Because when
Why?
Scheana got married before to Shay, she was like, she said something in like her confessional, and she was like, "It's all happening," and she was like all excited.
Got it. Okay, so that's where
That's
got that
why
from.
they did that.
Okay.
So she probably doesn't care. She wore that when she showed up to the reunion. She had a sweatshirt on that said, "It's all really happening" or something.
Oh, okay. So this is like something.
It's
that
like her
she's
thing.
been-
It's her
she's been
tagline.
riding off of.
Yeah.
Okay. Now it makes sense.
I
And
still think that they could have given her a better title, but I understand why they use this title.
Right. So I'm not as upset about it now, I guess. All right. So anyway, this episode opens with a bang.
Well, we ended with the to be
fireworks.
continued.
Yes.
With the
it
kiss.
Opens with the kiss between Schwartz and Raquel.
And things got a little weird between them this episode.
It did.
I have
definitely
some
did.
feelings about what I know some backstory to all this. So as we get into it, I'm going to give you my
Well, good.
take.
You could fill me in because
Yeah.
I don't always read
I
all
have
the
I have an
articles
opinion
and
about it.
everything you have.
Yep.
So while I was watching this, they actually go somewhere private, I guess, because everybody was cheering. So they went like behind this little
Near the
fence area
pool.
by a pool, and they kept making out, and it looked uncomfortable to me.
Yeah.
Like Schwartz did not look like he
So,
was enjoying it.
I'm just going to put it out there from the start because we know now that during this time, her and Sandoval were in a full-blown affair. And
Right.
we know that at Scheana's wedding, Sandoval was kind of forcing Schwartz to make out with her, like encouraging it. Remember, Schwartz made a statement saying that Sandoval actually told him he'd be a wussy if he didn't.
Right.
So where before it seemed like maybe they were really into each other, and even Schwartz seemed like he maybe had a little crush on Raquel, I think in this moment he kind of was pushed to do it because once it happened, you could see there was no chemistry there.
Right.
And like we're jumping ahead a little bit to the next day, but even like she wanted to walk down the aisle with him at first, and she said she didn't
Right.
want to because he walked weird, and then he kind of gave her like a handshake or something.
Oh, it was a high five or something when they were like before
You
they
could
were going
tell,
to dinner.
yeah, you can tell 100%, and like I know that at this point we know she's having an affair with Sandoval, and I was really pulling for the Raquel and Schwartz thing to happen. But now you see there really is zero chemistry
Right.
there. And it obviously was more of, I'm just saying it was more of a setup as it was something genuine.
Right.
Like Scheana entertained it at first, and maybe they both were like, oh, maybe. But then once it happened, you could tell that there was nothing there. And do you like how Raquel was kind of playing it? Like, I really thought he liked me, and I guess he just doesn't. And it's like, she knew.
She knew.
Like, I'm sure, like, if Sandoval was pushing him to do it, like, it was definitely to distract.
And Schwartz even said that he wasn't even sure how he felt about it, but he just wanted to do it because she was that forbidden fruit.
Yes,
like
it's
Katie
because-
specifically said,
Yeah.
don't make out with her, don't hook up with her.
It was like more of a temptation because he wasn't allowed to. And then I think once it happened, it was very obvious
very
in the
clear
moment
he
that there
didn't
was
like
no
it.
chemistry between them. So that was an eye-opener.
Yeah. So one other thing that I saw with that, Raquel said maybe this could be something. I guess they were talking about not telling anyone about this also.
And she said, well, I'm pretty sure everyone saw
it was kind of obvious
it.
that everyone saw it.
Right.
But Schwartz was trying to play it off
Well,
like nobody saw anything.
I think he was just worried about it getting back to Katie, which it did instantly.
It did. It happened instantly.
Yeah.
So after that, Katie, Lala, James, Allie, they all go back to Lala's room.
And Scheana calls Lala because Lala was at this dinner with Katie and Christina Kelly dressed in white because she should have been at this white party and she didn't really show up for it. And Scheana was just like, you could tell she was bummed. And I said this in the last episode that I was really disappointed in Lala for rallying around Katie more on this trip instead of Scheana. And she pissed me off even more with this whole conversation because she was like, well, you have like everybody, like what's the big deal if I'm not there and blah blah blah. And it's like, but you're here for the wedding, so you needed to be there for the wedding festivities. And I know that Scheana and Lala have had like issues in the past, but they are really close right now. So it was disappointing for me to see her not really participating in the wedding stuff. And when Scheana called, you could tell she was super bummed, like, where were you? And then, of course, the conversation quickly steers to, wait, did you see? And I don't think she knows, right, that Lala's in the room with Katie and all them.
Right. No,
so
she
she's like,
doesn't know
did you
who
see
they're
Schwartz
with.
and Raquel make out? And Lala was like, what? And everybody in the room, because James is in the room and Katie's in the room. And it's like, and, Lala was like, I did not. And you need to find out if that really happened. And she's like, yeah, I will. And so she's asking Brock, right?
Yeah, so she
Because
asked Brock. They were still on the
like
phone.
she's like, did you like you definitely know what happened? And Brock was like, you didn't see it? And she's like, no, I didn't see. He's like, how did you miss it? Like everyone was cheering and Katie's in the background all pissed off. Well, why would everyone be cheering for that? And Brock says, because everybody just wants to see Schwartz happy.
I actually laughed out loud when he said that.
Because her facial expression in that moment was like,
I just like
oh my
to
gosh.
see. I don't know. I don't really like Katie. I just like to
Right.
see her get the bad karma back to her, which she puts out into the world.
Yeah, and
so I mean, is it mean that I say that? I don't know.
well,
But
did you hear her also
is what
say
it is.
that like she's only like had sex with two guys since like they haven't been together? So it's like Schwartz obviously hasn't had sex with anyone, right? So
Not that we know of.
But and I know her thing was she just didn't want them hooking up with anyone in the friend group. So
Right.
that is what her issue is. I do understand that. But like you have gone off and hooked up with other people. And it's like it's just always like a double-edged sword with her. You're
Exactly what I
damned if
was
you do,
thinking.
you're damned if you don't.
Yep.
Like he can't win because even if it wasn't Raquel, like let's say it's like this roommate that he has, Joe, right? Like he's like, my roommate's cool, whatever. And it's like if it was her, it would still be a problem. It really doesn't matter who it was. She's kind of using this excuse of like because it's someone in the friend group, but the reality is Katie wouldn't be happy with it,
Right.
no matter what.
So, yeah, and so I'm jumping ahead. I mean, we're kind of just moving on from that because we're still figuring out who didn't see this happen, and we're back at Sheena's room where everybody's kind of partying, and apparently Ariana didn't see it either.
Yeah, because she was like,
Because
what?
Tom
was so annoying in this moment.
Yes. So, all right, explain that.
Okay. So Ariana didn't see it, right? So she has no idea what's going on. So like Ariana's sitting down, Raquel's sitting down, and Sandoval. We're talking about Sandoval here. He keeps coming over. Raquel. Oh, Raquel. And Ariana's visibly annoyed. So this was really uncomfortable to watch now that we know what the backstory is. But Ariana's like, Tom, stop. Like, why are you saying her name like that? Like, you're so annoying. And he's like, because she made out with Schwartz. And she was like, what? And Ariana, and this is why I love her, because she is friends with everybody. And she's like, now we took like 10 steps backwards because of this. And she's like, we were like getting to a place where like things were kind of okay with everybody. And like because of this, it is going to like F everything up. And that's why I like her, because she's friends with everybody. And in this moment, she's still finding a way to be compassionate towards Katie. Even though she's always rooting for everyone. And that's, again, why it makes this situation so shitty, because Ariana's always the one rooting for everybody.
Right.
And speaking of that, I'm going to throw that in there now, this little thing that we heard.
Okay.
Because I feel like it's a good time. I saw Lala on Watch What Happens Live, and she was saying, and Andy Cohen has obviously seen all the episodes at this point too. So she was like kind of chit-chatting with Andy about something that we're going to see coming up that is going to be, I think she said it's like absolutely disgusting to watch. That I guess in the finale, we're going to see a conversation between Ariana and Raquel. And Ariana is saying that she thinks Tom is cheating on her. To Raquel, she's saying this. And Raquel says, if he is, I will be there for you.
Oh, that's cold.
And
That's
that's
cold.
why people are saying like this is a very sick individual. And I am so upset about this because I really was starting to like before all this came out, I was really like last season I really liked Raquel, maybe even like the season before. I didn't really know at first how I felt about her, and I really she started to grow on me. And I was like really rooting for her, and it's like then you hear stuff like that and you're like, wow.
And maybe that's why was seen checking into a mental health
Well,
facility.
was she actually seen checking in?
Oh, I don't know. I mean,
That was something we read too. That
we read.
apparently she was planning on checking in, and they made it very clear it was not for drugs or anything like that.
Right.
That she was going to be checking into a mental health facility, and apparently she had plans to do that before the reunion even happened, but then like waited. But I think we did read that she has.
I think it was that she has.
I
just happened, or she
I
will
just
be.
feel like it is a deflection. Like, obviously, like, maybe she does have some issues going on. Like, I'm not ever going to see, like, listen, I have anxiety. I've had depression. I am not one to not acknowledge that. But it seems like it's great timing to get away and not have to deal with anything.
So maybe she just needs help, like, navigating it with, someone, like, have someone help navigate through it, like, as far as how she feels.
Yeah.
Because she probably feels terrible for Ariana as well.
I don't think she does.
You don't think so?
I do not, because
No.
We'll see how the reunion goes. But from what I've heard about the reunion, it was like neither of them took accountability for anything. And then you watched this Howie Mandel podcast with.
Yeah.
So if you haven't watched it, I haven't listened to it yet. But Sandoval, and now this is the thing. Sandoval goes on this podcast. And I know Bravo's pissed because Bravo did not give him permission to do this and speak out.
No.
So we'll see how that goes down. But it seemed like a lot of gaslighting. It seemed like, from what you told me, what you heard from it, that he was trying to, this whole claim that he's tried to break up with your Ariana and all this stuff. But I don't care. And to be honest, I don't care if they were broken up. They're living under the same roof still. And I'm sorry, until you can completely cut ties with somebody, that is so disrespectful.
Yeah. Well, they were
I don't
also
agree.
living together after it happened.
Yeah.
And he said that they would be kind of in separate rooms of the house, and he would have to text somebody to tell her that he was going to be going to the gym around this time, like in their house, the gym. So they had a middleman.
So that they didn't have to
that
cross
they weren't
paths.
Communicating to each other, but they had a middleman.
And he did confirm on this podcast that him and Raquel did hook up after the episode we saw, the boys' night episode at the Mondrian.
Right.
This is the beginning of it.
That was the beginning of it.
You explain what happened because I didn't listen.
So they went, apparently, well, from what he said, that they went back to his house, and Ariana wasn't there, of course. And said he was locked out. So they were just on the back porch, like, talking for a while. And he said they were just talking, and all of a sudden they kept getting closer and closer, and then they were making out. And then one thing led to another, and they wound up doing it by the fire pit in the backyard.
So grimy, man. I don't know. And then, so that's the one night stand that Schwartz was referring to, correct? So then Schwartz has also said that after that night, it was more of an emotional affair, and then I guess something picked back up eventually here.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't really. I also didn't watch all of it. I was at work, guys. I was kind of just being bored and watching this for a little while. I got through about, I'd say, like 40 minutes of it.
Yeah, I'll have to watch.
Hour and 15 minutes total.
Okay.
I definitely suggest listening to it just to hear his side of it, and whether it's believable or not.
Well, I do think his side of it is probably accurate, but I still don't care. I just feel like it's still disrespectful. And,
of course.
Like I said, even if they were actually broken up at some point or whatever, or things weren't great, it doesn't give you the right to step out at all. And I just feel like imagine if me and you were deciding we were like going to get a divorce. And like, how would you feel if I was just like going out and like hooking up with people and coming home, or like making out with people in the backyard? Like, I'm sorry, that's so disrespectful. And I would never in my life do that to you. And also, like, I do feel like if we were to break up, like, I wouldn't even want to be with somebody else for a while, because like I would need a minute to like process everything. You know what I mean? So but I do see why it makes sense as to why he was maybe trying to push a breakup. and she probably wasn't completely understanding it.
Right.
Like why he was pushing to break up, because it's a lot easier to break up when you have something else
Well,
going on in the background. You know what I mean?
he talked about them like trying. He mentioned that they wanted to break up, or that he tried breaking up with her, and they had, but he didn't really go through with it because together they had built a brand. They had businesses together. They had all this stuff together, and he didn't really know how that would work out, and he would separate from all that.
So is that what Schwartz was referring to as that he had a plan, but he kept procrastinating when Schwartz was on Watch What Happens Live?
Yeah, his original plan was to break up with her in therapy. He got her doing couples therapy with
That's
him through his
insane.
therapist.
I'm sorry, but if you
Yeah.
are going to break up with somebody, you're going to have a therapist sitting here and watching this go down. Like, that doesn't even sound right.
That was his plan.
We haven't never been to couples therapy, but like, if you guys have ever been in that process of couples therapy, like, is that a thing where like you break up with the therapist there so it goes amicably, or is that not a thing? Like, that is something I need answers on from somebody who actually knows like details on that, because that sounds really uncomfortable.
I was like, that's your plan?
I'm
Like, that's it?
I would be if we were in, because couples therapy, isn't that to try to help fix a relationship?
Yes.
So like if we were in couples therapy and you tried to break up with me, like I would probably whoop your ass.
Okay.
Anyway, let's get what
All right,
happened in this episode.
Let's keep going. Maybe we should do a recap on the Howie Mandel podcast.
I need
just
to
bring it some
listen.
more attention.
Yeah, I'll listen to it and you can finish it, and then maybe we can do something just on that and dissect that.
All right, so let's jump back for a minute. So we go back to where Ariana's finding out that Schwartz made out with Raquel.
While Sandoval's being annoying.
So Sandoval, did you see this? That he dropped Schwartz's room key for Raquel?
All right, but I caught something else in this moment.
The butt slap.
It looked like he touched Raquel's butt.
It did, because she waved her hand back like she was trying to swap his
him
hand
off.
away.
Yeah,
But
you gotta watch this scene after it.
I saw something on Instagram or something like that on a Vanderpump group.
Yeah.
And I saw it and I was like, oh, whoa, let me look for this. And when I
Yep.
looked for it, I mean,
It
I
does
watched it
look
like
like
6
it.
times on Facebook.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks
Doesn't
like
it? I do. It does. To me, it does look like he did something there.
Yeah, he was drunk
And like
and he probably
Ariana's
wasn't,
right in front of them.
Yeah.
So that's just, again,
I say he
so
was drunk, maybe
disrespectful.
not thinking 100%, but
Now, I read somewhere, and I thought it was during Mexico, that like Sandoval and Raquel kissed, like while she was like Raquel was like laying in a bed. So we're gonna have to see if that happens eventually.
I thought I saw
I
that
saw-
on a preview.
didn't you see that?
The one episode.
She had
it
like
was
an
said-
eye massing on or something.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm wondering, when is that happening? Because I heard that
Well, they're
we
still
will see
there.
a kiss on camera, and I don't know why I thought it was in Mexico, but it hasn't happened yet. So maybe
It,
it's like
it looked
the
like in a
next
hotel
episode.
room. There was white
Yes,
linens,
right. It looked
white
like a
bedding.
hotel. That's what I
Yep.
thought.
It might be in the next episode.
Mm.
All right, let's keep our eyes out for that. All right, so that all happened. Everybody is done with that. The next day, the girls go into the spa, and Scheana's still upset that Lala isn't coming to the rehearsal dinner.
Yeah.
So
Is this when it was a rehearsal dinner? Is this when they went to eat in like a cave? And James and Allie went too?
oh yeah, well that's where they went to go eat instead of going to the rehearsal dinner.
They were at Hibachi.
There was the hibachi.
That's what
for
it
that.
was. Oh, that was so awkward because it was like Raquel. Well, Raquel was on the end at first, and then Schwartz offered to switch with her because James and Allie were coming, so she didn't have to sit next to James.
Right.
So it was Ariana like over there, and then like the corner of the hibachi. So then it was Sandoval, Raquel, Schwartz, James, and Allie. And James is kind of like dogging Raquel a little bit, like, what is going on with you? Like, first Peter, now Schwartz. And he was like, it's none of my business, but like, it seems like you're going through something. And like, I didn't hate James in this moment because he could have been a lot douchier about it, because you could tell he was pretty pissed off about Schwartz.
He did get a little bit.
He flipped on Schwartz. Yeah. Did you take notes on that when him and Schwartz had a conversation?
We're not there yet.
Yeah, we were.
No, it's just like the girls were going to the spa.
That wasn't the same thing?
No, they went in that like spa cave, and then Scheana.
I don't remember that.
Lala was telling Scheana that she wasn't going to be coming to the rehearsal dinner.
Why don't I remember that entire scene?
I don't know.
All right. I don't have any thoughts on that. I don't even remember that part. Whoops. wonder if I like accidentally fast forwarded it.
Maybe.
Okay, well, we'll just keep moving. What happened next?
So this is where the girls were talking, and Raquel asked Scheana if she would care if she would walk down the aisle with Schwartz instead of Joey. This is when they were in the spa. They were in like the little cave
okay. So
area.
that's when she said she wanted to walk with Schwartz, or that's when she
Yeah.
said she didn't want to walk with him because his walk was bad.
No, because that happened after the rehearsal dinner.
Okay.
Because that's when she realized his walk was
I
bad.
don't think I saw this part.
Oh.
Or it wasn't, if I watched this part, it was not interesting enough for me to remember anything about
well,
it.
I have to watch everything because I take notes on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is where she told Scheana that she thought she wanted to walk down the aisle with Schwartz instead of Joey. And Scheana was like, yeah, it's fine.
Of course, because Scheana was kind of pushing for that from the start. So.
I mean, she's doing this just to do anything that she can to piss Katie off.
Which is also really grimy.
It is.
Do you agree? Because
Definitely.
100%. Because if she was like hooking up with Sandoval behind everybody's back, so like she was literally doing this just to be vindictive towards Katie. And I don't even like Katie, but I think that's what people are like kind of forgetting about all this because it's been so, and as it should be Ariana centered.
Right.
But Katie was kind of like caught in the crossfire in all of this, and it was not necessary. And that part, I really do feel a lot of empathy for her because like a lot of her feelings got hurt, and it was never even going to be anything.
Right.
Like, it was one thing if Schwartz and Raquel could have potentially liked each other and it could have been a thing, but this was all happening. It's all happening. For no reason.
Yeah.
And that makes it even worse. And that's what makes them, like, such shitty people.
Yeah.
I think Schwartz knew, man. I do.
He might have.
He's saying that he didn't know, like, when they kissed that was going on.
So
I don't believe it, dude. I think he knew the whole time.
Tom likes to say that he doesn't know anything because in the
He
next
doesn't like
scene,
heat on him.
he's walking over to the pool side to go hang out with James and Allie.
Okay, so that's that moment.
And did you find it weird that when Tom was walking up, James called Allie Bubba? I don't know if anybody caught that.
I did hear that. I did catch
But
that.
I caught that, and it was weird because Tom was right in the background. He was walking around to go sit down.
Do you
with
think
him.
he was doing it on purpose? Like, he didn't know Tom was coming, right?
No, I don't think so. But
Yeah,
that's weird.
It was awkward.
It's something I caught that was kinda weird.
Schwartz was like, I think he knew that he probably needed to have a conversation with James.
He
and he
tried.
denied it at first. Because he was
Yeah.
like, did you make out with Raquel last night? And he was like, no, that didn't happen. And he was like, oh, it didn't? And he was like, yeah, it did.
And then James got pissed, dude.
And as he should. I mean,
exactly,
he
as
has
he
every.
should.
I mean, but it is so uncomfortable for Allie. Like, I feel like this should have been a conversation between just James and Schwartz without Allie present.
Because then Schwartz was trying to get Allie to back him up.
He was like, Allie, back me up here. And
Like,
then also,
come on.
like, in her confessional, like, she was like, I would just love to be able to, like, do something and, like, we don't have to hear about Raquel. And that's really uncomfortable. And that could be an issue in their relationship. Like, if James can't separate his relationship with Allie and his relationship with Raquel, like, he has every right to be upset. So I just feel really bad for Allie in this moment because she looks uncomfortable. And then, of course, Schwartz definitely should have never said, like, Allie, back me up. Like, you can't do that. Like, she has nothing to do with it. And that's so awkward for her. But I do feel like James has the right to be upset about it, as does Katie. You know what I mean? They all have the right to be upset about it. But again, this is what everyone's missing is, like, now James is another person caught in the crossfire of this whole thing unnecessarily.
Yeah, it's starting to affect a lot of people.
Yeah, and I think that's why, because I also see people, you know, when I read articles and stuff, I like to read the people's comments to see what people are thinking about what they're reading. And a lot of people are like, oh my God, they're milking this. Like, we need to be done hearing about this already and whatever. And I think people aren't understanding that this is not just like a thing between Sandoval and Ariana, that it has intermingled into the entire friend group. Now, do I think Lala is riding the coattails of this situation? Absolutely, because it has not directly affected her. She said it's given her some PTSD because of the things she went through with Randall. And it's like, I think she's riding the coattails on this so that we're all distracted from the stuff going on with Randall. Because if you look into the stuff going on with him, he is the real monster here. So it is going to be very convenient for her to keep pushing this Sandoval situation so nobody is talking about hers.
That's an interesting idea.
What Randall has done in life is a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
worse. And listen, Sandoval is a scumbag right now to me, but what Randall has done is way worse than anything that anybody else on this show has ever done. So for Lala, I feel like it's just convenient for her to keep talking about it.
Keep her name out of the
Yes.
press. So after this, we flip back to Villa Rosa.
I really liked
Lisa's
this
this
moment.
I did. Sandoval and
Schwartz?
Schwartz kind of were a little bit annoyed at it when Lisa called them and told them about it.
Well, Lisa
But
she's very concerned about this restaurant
Exactly.
opening, and she's very concerned about the Toms like losing everything.
Well, she's also concerned that Greg doesn't realize
What he's dealing
these
with.
procrastinators that he's
Yeah.
dealing with, and she knows how to handle them.
Yeah. And that was kind of her thing. She's like, he knows his stuff about the restaurant industry, but I don't know if he knows his stuff when it comes
Yeah.
to dealing with the Toms.
Apparently he does, because she asked him, "Are you going to open on the 31st?" And he says, "No, we are not ready to open." And she said, "Why not?" Well, he apparently has no bar menus. There's been no training. They have drinks, but the drinks don't have names, and there's no pricing.
no spec sheets on
Like-
like how the drink is made and what it
Yeah.
should look like. And like if you've been in the restaurant industry, you know that there is a guide for everything and
Right.
presentation and all that. And honestly, it's not that hard to do. So what if
especially if-
Sandoval could have put as much effort into this bar as he is putting into his band, his fake band and Raquel, this bar would be open.
Yeah.
And you can tell Schwartz has major anxiety about it. Because he lost his marriage over this,
Yeah.
pretty much. And I
wonder if
will.
he's getting some little regrets
Well, you know,
about being so close to Tom.
and this is the thing is like they'll always back each other up, but you got to start to think, is this person good for me? And it's hard because they're a brand
right.
now.
Same deal.
And I don't know. I feel bad for Schwartz in this situation because I mean I've heard that, I don't know now, but kind of when the news broke, like Tom was losing a little bit of business and things like that, and it's affecting a lot of people, not just Tom.
Yeah. So that was an interesting little tidbit to find out. Lisa's trying to, and not really
Move it along.
go behind their back, but she's trying to
She
help
just
out.
wanted to see where his headspace was, I think, Greg's.
Yeah.
And she only hears one side, the Tom side, but it's good to hear Greg's side. And Greg seems like he knows what he's doing here. So the Toms need to start letting him get things done.
Yeah.
Like Sandoval focuses on things that don't matter. Like he's so worried about details and aesthetics, and I get it. Like I love an ambiance at a restaurant is one of the biggest things for me. But like you can't be focused on just like what the restaurant looks like and not getting menus done. People are coming to eat and drink. That is actually priority, and everything else comes second.
That should be done
First.
Yeah, sooner
Like what
than later.
food and drinks do we want, and then how will we make the restaurant
Right.
look? They're backwards.
So we'll see what happens with that. I don't think it opened on the 31st.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I never actually looked into
never
when
checked.
it opened. So
All right.
now we're at hibachi.
Now we're at the rehearsal dinner.
Yes.
Now we can start talking about that.
Well, not much happened at hibachi.
No. So like Raquel and Schwartz were sitting next to James.
Right.
They actually switched seats.
And that's where
So
James
Raquel didn't sit
makes the
next
whole
to James,
comment
And now
of
Tom's
like,
sitting
who
there.
else are you going to hook up with? And, she, like he's saying, like, there's something going on with you. And it's none of my business.
Yeah.
But, And
But-
then
and
they
then Allie
leave.
leaves. Well, Allie leaves because, of course, if there's
It's again,
confrontation,
yeah.
she leaves. And
But
she
then they
sees-
all go to dinner. James,
Yeah.
Allie, Lala go to dinner in the cave. It was actually really cool. They
It was.
were eating in like a cave, but with Katie and Christina. And it's just, I don't know. It's just very weird. I'm still trying to figure out why the hell Katie came on this trip. And didn't Christina say something to her? Like, if you knew this is how the trip was going to go, would you have still came? And she said no.
Yeah.
It should have been
You should
your
have thought
first
of that.
thought from the start that you shouldn't have been there. Now you feel like I wouldn't come because like Raquel and Schwartz made out. Well, what did you... And this is just me. If I was recently divorced, I probably wouldn't want to be attending any wedding. And not anything rude towards anybody else. I just feel like it would be really hard to watch people in love when you're falling out of love.
Yeah.
So I'm still having a hard time understanding why she wanted to be there in the first place. And if she didn't go, Lala would have been at all these festivities. It's just weird.
Well, they did go to the wedding.
Well, and this was
But
what Scheana was worried about all along.
yeah,
And they're like, we're not going to be like watching you from our balcony. And what are they doing?
they're watching from the balcony.
And this is
I
why
mean,
I'm
they're
like,
being nice about it. I
I
mean, they're
don't
not,
care.
but
It's
it's still weird.
weird.
Like you shouldn't
And
be
you
out
literally
there.
said that you weren't going to be doing that. And what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's cringy. It's embarrassing. It screams like this is where I'm gonna throw Katie under the bus. She called because Raquel, she said Raquel used to watch the show before she was on the show, and she's called her a fangirl all this time.
Okay.
And Katie's giving me fangirl vibes in this moment. Like, you're not a part of the wedding, but there you are being a fangirl on the balcony. And it's like, is very cringy to me and embarrassing. And I just don't know why she would humiliate herself like that. Like, I just wouldn't have gone because I just feel like it's humiliating.
Yeah. I don't know. Very, very odd human.
Yeah.
So yeah, then that pretty much brings us up to the wedding day.
I'm
And
not going to lie. I'm saying it straight from the start. I got teary eyed.
all right. So I mean, I like the whole setup. It was
It
really
was
they did a really good
beautiful.
job. Like everybody looked good. I got a little choked up. I didn't get teary eyed. So it
Got a little
was
knot in your throat.
yeah, like kind of just like they were reading their vows and like through that, and then like it was
Her
just
daughter like walking
the
out
little
was
girl.
just so
Yeah,
precious. And like, I don't know, I'm a huge like hopeless romantic, and
but
like,
I was just happy to see that Scheana was with somebody that was good for her because they kept showing like Shay, and
yeah.
it was like that was a bad situation.
Yeah.
And like it's just she's
And
really
Brock
risen from that. And
Brock got a lot of heat from the start, and people didn't really like him.
right,
And I
yeah,
think
which
that
was
it
not
was
right.
no, people definitely judged him before really knowing him. And my thing is, I'm like the opposite. Like, if my friend is happy and it's visible that they're happy, I don't care what the guy's past is. I don't care about any of that. I care about how they'd be treating my friend.
Right.
So I don't know why like Lala was trying to go so hard on Brock,
Well,
but
because Lala needs to
because
get all
Lala's not
attention
happy
off
in
of
her
her.
own life. That's
That
the
too.
reality. And, you know, she was trying to make it seem like Brock had this crazy history that everyone should be so concerned about. But Randall's the one who has the history we should be concerned about. So it's always a deflection with her.
Yes.
But they seem so happy together. And like, did it kind of bring you back memories from our wedding? It did.
It did. I mean, like, it was just, I don't know. It was simple.
Ours was too.
It was pretty simple.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't think they would have like a crazy wedding, but the one thing that I forgot to mention, I didn't realize this, that Scheana was married a year before this. This was actually her 1 year anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
So like they had to do it to make sure that he could, like, Brock would be together. They were having a baby. She didn't want any issues with green cards and all that stuff
Yeah.
when she was pregnant.
And that's
which is
completely
smart.
understandable. Yeah. And like
But
if you know you're spending your life with somebody, like it doesn't matter. Like
And
that's
that-
even with our wedding, like I didn't care to have like a big crazy wedding. Like I just wanted to marry you. And I feel like that's why she, you know,
Yeah.
and her first wedding was so elaborate and big. And a lot of times when people have weddings like that, it's because it is a spectacle and they might not really be happy. I've noticed people that I know that have had these super extravagant weddings ended up having the most unhappy marriages
wow.
because it's like an overcompensation.
Yeah,
It's
maybe.
like we're happy. Look at all this stuff that we're doing.
They
You know,
probably weren't happy before the wedding either.
well, and sometimes people get caught up in the planning process, and that's more important than the relationship. And then when all that's over,
Yeah,
you're
then
like,
what?
oh, so we just go back to living our normal lives. The party's over. Here we are. And I was like the opposite. I just wanted something simple. We had like only 100 people.
I think the minimum was 90, and we had to have at least 90.
No, the minimum was 100.
Oh, minimum was 100.
We ended up having like 98. We had to pay for 100 no matter
Yeah.
what. And we had like 98. It was literally only people we really knew well. Even family, if we didn't really know them, we didn't invite them. Because like I didn't care. I just wanted to marry you. And it gave me a flashback. And I think that's why I got a little teary-eyed because I was like, oh, like well, ours wasn't destination, but I felt like it was intimate.
Yeah.
I felt like their ceremony was somewhat similar to ours. I didn't write my own vows, but you did.
Yeah, I did a
And
surprise.
yeah, and it reminded me of like ours, and I was like, oh, sentimental moment. And I did get teary-eyed. I'm not gonna lie, like I had to hold it back.
No, I just got that little lump in your throat.
You were like,
know?
ugh.
No. All right. So the wedding was beautiful. I really enjoyed. I really liked the
Yeah.
dress.
Well,
Actually,
yeah,
it was
gorgeous. Well,
gorgeous
she got so
dress.
much heat for the crop top.
This one actually reminded me of our friend's wedding that we were at. Not as see through as hers,
Yeah.
but like
It
it
had
was
was a little
very.
see-through
It
sexy.
was a little
Yes.
see through, sexy, very similar. But our friend's was a lot different. I mean, I
It
like
was
them both,
beautiful, yeah.
but they were both gorgeous.
And then of course you have Christina and Katie on the balcony, and well, Christina went out first, right? And she was like, "I'm just gonna peek. I'm just gonna peek." I
Yeah,
mean, the
she's
wedding's
the
happening like right there.
fangirl.
Yes.
She is.
And they were trying to spy to see if Raquel was walking with Schwartz.
Right.
And
And
she
then
wasn't, because she said that Schwartz's walk was terrible. And this is where it's like she's so fake. She's like, as a pageant girl, a walk is important. And like, I just hated her in this moment because I'm starting to hate her now.
no. So it wasn't that. It wasn't Schwartz's. It was Schwartz's walk, but she was more worried about her image and walking down with him, and him making her look stupid because he was walking like an idiot.
But like, who
She's more worried about
cares?
herself.
I would rather walk with someone goofy than someone serious. Like, I would rather walk with someone who's like gonna make me giggle, because it's awkward, right? Like, I'm gonna be transparent.
Well, her walk with Joey was not that
And
much
no,
better.
and I had so much anxiety about walking down the aisle, because to me, like, I don't like people like staring at me like that. And I was like, I remember feeling like, oh my God, what is this gonna be like when I walk out and everyone's looking at me? Like, I don't want that. So
Well,
like,
we had a very short aisle too.
yeah.
Maybe only like 25 feet.
Yeah, and I feel like if I were a bridesmaid, like, it's still awkward, right? Especially because it's like, it's not your wedding and you have to like do this. I would rather walk with someone goofy like Schwartz, who's going to make me laugh and giggle and like whatever, so that I can just get where I need to be as quickly as possible. Like, I don't know, it was awkward that she like changed her mind again, and I think it was because he gave her like a handshake.
Yeah,
And that was like the deal breaker
the high
for her.
five. It was
And
just very awkward moments after
another
that.
thing I want to point out, and I mentioned this to you already, I feel like the past few episodes we're not seeing that much of Sandoval at all.
That's yeah, except for that one scene where
they were like in the pool, and there was like a little pool scene and the room scene. But Sandoval loves the attention. He's usually always the center of attention in a lot of these. And it's not just this episode. I feel like it's been like the past 3 or so.
Yeah.
It's like we're only really seeing him if like they're doing something with the restaurant, or there's nothing really going on with him. And I'm wondering if he was purposely trying to lay low so that people couldn't catch on to anything.
Or were they like editing scenes out after the fact to like pull him out a little bit?
No, I don't think so.
Well, that's right. Lala said that nothing's being.
No, because if you think about it, if him and Ariana weren't really on good terms, a lot of his scenes were always with Ariana, right? So if they're not on good terms, there's not a lot of scenes happening there.
Right.
And
They'd
then
be living
he
in separate
can't
areas of the house.
be in scenes with Raquel. So what does he have? He has nothing. He has no place.
Yeah.
So, and I've noticed it, like, because I've been purposely trying to be like, I'm going to really pay attention to Sandoval scenes and see if I can catch on to anything. And I'm like, wow, they're not giving me anything, because Sandoval's barely present in these episodes. And it's pissing me off, because I'm like, he knew what he was doing. He was purposely laying low. And that's it, right? That's how we end?
Yeah, that's how we end. We end with the wedding. And of course, all the previews for next week, but we're not going to start talking about those.
So just we want to keep in mind that there may be a kiss between Raquel and Sandoval that we're going to see on screen. I mean, I read that we will, so I'm just waiting to see it. And like we said earlier, it looks like a hotel room, so it could have been Mexico. I don't know.
I wonder.
Then we're going to keep our eyes peeled for this conversation between Ariana and Raquel in the finale.
Yes, definitely.
And see how that goes. And then the reunion. So we're getting there.
And I think we're going to listen to this Howie Mandel podcast
and dissect it.
Dissect this down.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna be bashing Sandoval the whole time.
I understand. And
Well,
maybe I should play devil's advocate. Or
yeah.
do you think, or no, that might turn like physical. You might start.
You think I'm smack you?
Yeah.
I would never do that to you. No, I mean, I just know that I'm not gonna side with him, because like I said, I don't care if they absolutely hated each other and didn't speak for a month and were living in separate parts of the house.
Right.
You're still, until the ties are completely cut, it's disrespectful.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
I would just listen to it. He sounds very believable, very remorseful. So I feel like the acting is
He's a good
He's
actor,
playing-
you know
he's
that.
playing
And
on that.
I want to know how Bravo feels about it.
Well, the one headline I read that made me realize I missed it was that he might get fired.
I don't know though, because this is such a juicy situation. And are they going to want to not have that?
I don't know.
I
We'll
don't
have
know.
to see.
We'll have to see. It
All
all
right.
depends on what's in their contract.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is. But that's it for now. Thank
That's
you for
it.
listening. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Almost Daily Des. And we will see you maybe on the next one because this was only an audio.
Yeah. We'll probably be doing a video again soon.
Yes.
Take care, guys.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.